You made a tremendous decision to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics today, because our special guest is Solomon Wilcots, outstanding safety for the Cincinnati Bengals, played in Super Bowl 23. Tremendous broadcaster. I mean, he's worked with multiple networks. Now he's doing podcast work. He's also working with Sirius NFL Radio. He's a media magnate, a media star. And we end up talking about not only recapping the Rams' victory by the Cincinnati Bengals and all the reasons for that, we also previewed the upcoming contest against the Tennessee Titans, who are limping around a little bit after getting spanked by the Cleveland Browns, and they will not be in a great frame of mind as the Bengals go down to Nashville. So cover a lot of ground with Solomon Wilcots. It's like a walk in the park. I think you're going to enjoy it. We appreciate you joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, as always, coming to you from our studios. And we've got our outstanding friend of our show and a football guru, former Cincinnati Bengal safety, Solomon Wilcots. Now he is a media star and knows his football inside out. Solly, welcome to the show once again.
Dave, always great to join you. We always have a good time talking football, so I'm excited to be here with you.
And I'll tell you, Solly, it's a situation where 1-2 looks a heck of a lot better than 0-3. You know, I mean, it's in the I've got a stat here that's pretty interesting. In the Super Bowl era, 251 teams started 0-3. Just 6 made the playoffs out of 251 in the Super Bowl era. And then here, since 2020, when they redid the format of the playoffs, 1-2 teams have made the playoffs over 30% of the time. So it's almost a 1-3 chance that your season's alive and you're still going to make the playoffs. So even though it wasn't a must game as such, it was an important game, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it really was. I mean, we're used to being 0-2. Well, that's okay. You know, we can survive 0-2. We don't know what it's like to be 0-3. We're certainly not comfortable being 0-3. And you're right. I think the data, there's a large enough sample size where you know that you're fighting an uphill battle if you fall down 0-3. Think about all the other teams in the AFC North won during week 3.
Yep.
So yeah, no, you didn't want to. Considering those first 2 losses came within the division, now you lose to the Rams. You're 0-3 in the same week where everybody else in the division won. It's going to be enough of a chase. We already know that, but no, that one game makes a big difference.
Other than Baltimore got upset.
That's right. They sure did.
Yeah,
That's right.
They fell out of the undefeated ranks. They're at 2-1. But there you go. To your point, though, Sol, there's only one AFC team that's undefeated. One, the Miami Dolphins are 3-0. That's it. Everybody else has at least one loss. So, as everybody thought, the AFC is going to be a slugfest, man. There's no question.
It's going to be, I think, coming down to the very last week. You know, Cleveland's just getting stronger. You know, that defense is proven to be one of the really great defense. Right now, they're very stingy. They're very tough. They got 3 good corners, a couple of good edge rushers. They play good on the interior part of their defensive line. So if they don't turn it over, you know, I'm sure there's some concerns. And if you're a Cleveland Brown fan with losing Nick Chubb, but they look like they're going to be the real deal. I don't think Lamar Jackson's going anywhere. They're going to be at the end, you know, when it's all said and done with Baltimore. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, they just keep getting better. And they're going to always battle you. So it's going to be a 4-way fight to the finish.
No doubt about it, Solly. No question. The Cincinnati Bengals played without a lead for the first 9,566 seconds of the season before they finally took a lead. And they took that lead with a 14-yard touchdown run by Joe Mixon and built on the lead. They had a 2-score lead and could afford to give up that touchdown at the end of the football game, although it made it pretty dicey. But sometimes that first lead is the toughest lead to get. The first win is the toughest win to get. Hopefully now maybe the pressure's off and they'll relax a little bit and string something together.
I remember watching the game on Monday night, and my former CU Buff alumni, Chris Fowler, said that when Joe Mixon ran in for the 14-yard touchdown, it's the first lead we had all night. And I'm thinking, no, it's the first lead we had all season.
Right. Right.
I mean, it immediately registered. I was like, no, that's our first lead all season. So see if we can hold on to it. Hey, the defense was phenomenal. I think Lou Anarumo just did a masterful job. Once again, the mad scientist, Dr. Anarumo came through yet again, and you can see these young players developing under him. Obviously, Logan Wilson was phenomenal. The pass rush was just really problematic for Matthew Stafford. But you can see when we've had veteran safeties, I know everybody's talking, when we talk about Von Bell, Jesse Bates, we still miss him. Dax Hill is going to be a great player. I know Nick Scott is feeling his way, but when you give up the easy scores, that is what happens in the secondary. I tell people all the time, you can't afford to make mistakes. And probably the best coverage on the night was Zach Taylor calling the timeout as Tyler Higbee was catching a touchdown pass.
Oh, you're right about that. I mean, this defensive football team, you're right. It was another Lou Anarumo masterpiece.
Yeah.
Stafford had been sacked one time in the first two games. Yeah. He gets sacked 6 times. 2 others by Hendrickson were negated by penalty. They should have had 8. He should have had 4. And then Stafford was hit a bunch. And most importantly, when he's allowed to stay on his spot, the dude's like a human jugs machine. They got him off his spot. I mean, they moved him around. They got him off his spot big time.
The defense was phenomenal. People don't realize, Stafford came in averaging well over 300 yards passing in the first 2 games this season. It was the best start from a production standpoint of his very promising NFL career, right? It was great NFL career.
Sure.
So we were able to hold him to about, I think, under 270, which is great. We were able to come up with a couple of interceptions, 6 sacks. You and I, we always talk about this pressure leads to picks on the back end. And the pressure they put on him up front led to the interceptions on the back end by Logan Wilson. We always had a couple of more, to be honest with you, that got into our body and then off our hands and ended up on the ground. But he was hit, hurried, and harassed throughout the night.
Yeah, he really was. And Logan Wilson with the 2 interceptions, he's tied for 3rd in the NFL now with 2 picks and tied for 1st with linebackers. This guy, he was a former defensive back in college, and he still is aware of route combinations and spacing. Yeah. I mean, he plays like a DB at that linebacker position. He can track a football. Mike Hilton deflected that one, and that diving interception he made, tracking it. Both of his interceptions were good plays, diving plays to make the play.
Mm-hmm. And the first one, it did touch the ground, but just like with a wide receiver, if you have control of it and never lose control of the ball, never bobbled or anything like that, once he gained control of it, did scrape the ground. But I knew they weren't going to overturn it because it was rude to catch an interception on the field. So, but you're right. The way that, Matthew Stafford was playing his read off of him on that first one, and Logan kind of turned his hips away from the intended receiver, and that's what quarterbacks look for. If your hips are turned one way, they want to throw it on the backside of you because they don't think you can flip the hips well enough to get back and intercept it. And that's exactly what Logan Wilson did. He was better than a lot of defensive backs. I got to tell you, with what I saw, I was very proud of him. I've always liked him. I knew about his history, having been a safety, and obviously that's a position that's near and dear to my heart. And, this guy is playing with gray matter at the linebacker position as a pass defender. I think when it's all said and done, we're going to be calling him one of the great pass coverage linebackers in the NFL. I'm talking – listen, Jack Ham was a guy that I admired growing up who could really play in pass coverage. I think this guy is just as good.
Well, I played against Jack Ham and out of Penn State, and I played against him in college and played against him in the NFL when he was with the Steelers. There was, you're right, Solly, not a smarter guy, not a more talented guy from a skill set standpoint, defending the pass. I mean, Jack Ham was a stud. You're absolutely right, man.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The LA Rams came in second in the NFL in two big categories. They were converting over 58% of their third down, second best in the league. They had a time of possession as a result of those third down conversions of 36 minutes and 17 seconds per game the first two games, second best in the NFL. Against the Bengals, they go 0 for their first 10. The only third down conversion was the last one, a red zone touchdown. So they go 1 for 11, a little over 9% conversion rate. And in the red zone, the first three possessions are all field goals, and then the final one is a touchdown, 1 for 4 in the red zone. I'm telling you, like you said, Lou Anarumo, he had a package, and the players loved it. They were talking about it during the week. They're like, man, we got some stuff for the Rams. we got some stuff we haven't done for a while, since like 2020 and when Lou first came on board. So he's his players, you know how it is, Solly. You get an unbelievable coach. You go in there on Wednesday. What's the game plan? What do we got?
That's right.
Don't worry.
That's like you're like a greedy miser, right? You can't wait to get your hands on the ball, and because it's going. And I could tell, Mike Hilton is a guy that I watch a lot, and I could just, it all kind of emanates and runs through him. The smallest guy is the biggest guy, right? There's something about that in football, but he's so in line and so in tune with Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt. He's almost like a linebacker, but he's like a safety, but he's like a corner. Right. You saw him come in and blitz. I mean, he was bringing the wood. I mean, he was bringing it. So you could tell that's when guys, and then you saw the disguise on the sack by Dax Hill. That's when I knew. I said, he's rolling them through now. He's rolling them through. They've got the protection fooled. They have the quarterback fooled. Because I can tell you right now, Matthew Stafford's been playing this game a long time.
Yep.
You should never get a free runner at a quarterback of his stature. You know what I mean? That means you really fooled him because he thought he had his protection set. He had no clue. He never saw Dax Hill. Dax took it easy on him, by the way. He came in and he took him down with physicality, but he didn't go for the kill shot, if you know what I'm saying. He's a nicer guy than I am, Dave. I can tell you that.
You're right.
That play was emblematic of how they were playing with Lou Anarumo's defense. The Bengals defense was playing chess. The Rams offense was playing checkers. And the fact that they couldn't even convert a third down play in the entire game until the final minute of the game tells you the disparity in terms of the game plan that the Bengals defense was playing with.
Man, you're exactly right though, because Stafford on that play you're talking about with Dax Hill, who can come like a heat-seeking missile. I mean, this dude can run. Yeah. I mean, he can run, and so Stafford thought he had it all protected over there. He went back; his eyes were backside the whole time, letting something unfold there, and he never got. It was the front side. It wasn't his blind side, front side, but he made it his blind side because he assumed it's okay, and I'm going here. Boom, and he gets blown up. But I mean, Coach Anarumo had the O-line. Stafford seeing ghosts. He had 7 guys.
That's right.
A lot of times in the box, and it was like, who's coming, who's not, and they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't get a handle on, how do I apply my rules? Because man, they got rule breakers to everything I'm trying to do, and man, they get after it. And then Hendrickson, man, this backup left tackle, I feel sorry for this kid. The starter goes down early in the game. And this second-year guy, I think his name's Zachary Thomas. He comes in the left tackle position, and Trey Hendrickson takes him apart. And Solly, I could not believe that they never helped him. Chip, they didn't do anything to help him. Put a tight end over there, nothing. Yeah. And Trey Hendrickson, snap after snap, is just ripping up the football field and killing him, man.
Trey did a good job of getting his hands down and then just blowing by him. And he did it simultaneously as he was in that lean, coming hard. He was able to get the hands down. He would just blow right by him. He started winning on every single snap. Next thing you know, B.J. Hill's getting it going. Sam Hubbard's getting it going. DJ Reader was just phenomenal as usual. And, I give those guys inside, B.J. Hill and DJ Reader a lot of credit. And as does Sam and Trey, because it is those guys that set the tone, allow them to get that one on the edge, right? Maybe they want to help, but they got to double down because Reader, he can move a pocket, man, with the best of them from the inside. And so right now, this defensive line is starting to hit its stride. I thought this would be a very special year for the collective group as you're starting to see some younger guys like Zachary Carter. He's starting to get it involved and become a player. But they're getting a rotation going on right now where you got to be really leery because every last one of these guys can bring it, and it helps to keep the other guys fresh.
No question. I mean, they're developing that young talent, and their rotation is very, very deep, and that's going to be a challenge for people. 5 3-and-outs. They have the Rams 3-and-out 5 times, 3 in a row. The last possession of the third quarter, the first 2 possessions of the fourth quarter, when the game's definitely in doubt, and the Bengals end up taking the lead, and then the defense is responding like 3-and-out, 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 3 in a row. 6 possessions in the second half, half of them were 3-and-outs. I mean, that's another thing that they did so well.
Absolutely. And I think when you start to disguise the way that we were able to, then you can get pressure the way that we were doing. Then you don't have to play as much man-to-man because you don't feel like you have to blitz in order to get some of these pressures are coming off just a straight 4-man rush.
Yep.
Right. And it was fun to watch. And Trey Hendrickson, I mean, he has been such a blessing to the Bengals since came over in free agency. He's been phenomenal. Mike Hilton's been phenomenal. Whenever you can acquire guys like that, and they're giving you their best years. I mean, their best years have happened right here in Cincinnati, not in their previous stay. So, and they're veterans, and you can tell they're connected with the coach. Smart players, hardworking players, and again, I think this is a well-coached football team. And what we saw with them moving Jamar Chase around on offense, I just thought it was phenomenal the way that he played a lot of different positions. You and I both know that it takes more than talent, it takes smarts, and the way I loved the fake toss, roll out like reverse bootleg.
Yep.
Joe wasn't asked to move a whole lot, but he moved well and threw the ball well on that 43-yard completion. That set up a 48-yard field goal by McPherson. It allowed us to get our confidence now. We started to push the ball down the field a little bit more. Joe, you could tell Russ was coming off of Joe with every single throw. Some were misses, some were made. But after he connected on that one, I think he kind of got in the groove and started feeling a little more confident.
Yeah, and they talked about it, and they're like, Joe, it's going to necessitate some movement here. How's the calf? You're going to be able to get out there because and I think that is what shocked the Rams. The Rams weren't expecting him to move like that, and they were like, look, the backside defensive end, he's following that run fake, he's closing it down. You're going to be able to get outside of him. There's going to be nobody, and you're going to have an opportunity to just get the ball to Jamar. How about Jamar, 12 catches for 141 yards, a career best 12 catches. Carl Pickens has the record at 13. Brian Callahan, I was talking to him today. He said, if I knew that during the game, I would have gotten it.
Got it.
I would have gotten it to him. He said, I had no idea. But I mean, and you hit on something, Solly. It's an underrated asset that Jamar Chase has with all his physical skill set. People don't realize the dude is a football genius. I mean, they can line him up anywhere, and he never blows an assignment. He's always on point with everything. They were here, there, everywhere. They even had him in the backfield, motioning him out of there. I mean, that as a defensive back, Solly, what does that do when you have a guy of his ability that is so versatile that can line up all over the place? How does that stress a defense?
He's such a good receiver, even with his releases. And look, I'm going to stop down and give Troy Walters a great deal of credit, the wide receiver coach, who really has helped develop Jamar Chase at the NFL level. And Jamar brought a ton of talent with him.
Yep.
A lot of knowledge and a lot of skill. But you and I both know the NFL is a pros league, right? It's a league full of pros, and in order to elevate, you're going to need to be taught by a pro, and that's Troy Walters, okay? This guy was Offensive Player of the Year in the Pac-12.
Right.
So he knows, and he played in this league, so his releases, Jamar Chase can release and win at the line of scrimmage, which isn't easy in our league. But it takes so much work to be able to move him into the backfield, right? To have him come out, start motioning one way and reverse back out to get him some easy catches, because he's so good at creating yards after the catch. And I'm going to tell you right now, he reminds me of a Deebo Samuel. You've seen his legs. You've seen his leg structure, right?
Oh, yeah.
His lower body. He's a strong cat. He's a strong, and you saw these hesitation moves that he would put on the defensive backs and say, I'm going to allow you to grab my leg, and then I'm going to take it back. He did it several times. He just ripped it right out where they thought they had him wrapped up. He's so poised and so polished. I think we're starting to get some of the best days and best years from Jamar Chase, this now being his third season. He's entering – he's already been elite, but he's entering that area where I don't think anyone's going to be able to cover. No one can cover him one-on-one. They got to put two, one over the top, one up front, and that's what moving him around really helps to prevent these coverages from locking in and doubling on them. It really does strip a lot of that double coverage stuff that teams almost have to do to defend Jamar Chase.
Right. Okay, so let's compartmentalize this one. A nice win. They're off the schneid, like we're saying. Sometimes the first one's the toughest to get, and then all of a sudden the pressure's off, and you kind of string some things together. Next opponent, Tennessee Titans down there in Nashville. Vrabel and the Titans were embarrassed by the Browns. They got out-physicaled big time. Vrabel doesn't like that. I mean, if the one thing the Bengals better expect, put on the double chin strap, because the Titans are coming. They're going to be at home. It's going to be a physical. It's going to be a street fight, man. They're going to have to get ready for it, because Vrabel is not a happy camper right now after that performance against Cleveland.
Yeah, look, I have a lot of respect for Coach Mike Vrabel.
Me too.
This guy went to Ohio State. He's a bad dude now. I'll just tell you that right now. You know, Dick LeBeau, drafted him when he was with the Steelers and brought him there. For whatever reason, all of that stuff, it took a while for him to click, but he stuck with it. And, back in those days, Bill Belichick was trying to get anybody that LeBeau had, and he ended up getting a great one right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this guy has the mentality like a Belichick, where he's going to muddy the waters. He's going to cloud up these coverages. He's going to make the defense it's going to be very complicated. You're going to have to be very patient, just kind of like what Joe was the other night playing against this Rams defense. You've got to be careful with the ball when you play, because they're going to give you some of everything, just like what Lou Anarumo does. He's going to give you some of everything, and you got to be sure of what you're seeing when you turn that ball loose. More importantly, you got to deal with Derrick Henry.
Yep.
And you and I both know it's not easy to do. Now, Cleveland held him to 20 yards, but they were able to get a lead. Yep. You and I both know you get a lead. Most coaches, they're going to come out of that run game, man. They become one-dimensional. We love that as defensive players. We can take you out of your run game, because we get at least a 10-point lead second half. These coaches don't want to run it anyway. So all you got to do is give them a reason. And getting a lead on the road, maybe getting a double-digit, maybe 10-point lead, that takes Derrick Henry out of the game. You and I both know that puts it now on the shoulders of one Ryan Tannehill. He threw us 3 interceptions in that divisional round playoff game in 2021. He threw 3 interceptions in the season opener against the Saints to open up the 2023 regular season. So he's battling right now, but he's got the veteran wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. He's got Treylon Burks, last year's first-round pick, who I think just continues to get better and better. He's got to learn to stay on the field and fight through some injuries, but when that kid is ready to go now, I think he's going to be pretty special.
Yeah, no question. And with Derrick Henry, we know you got to stay. Your gap control responsibilities super important. You got to gang tackle that dude, and you can't let him get started. If he gets a head of steam going, man, he gets to that second and third level. It's ooh, baby. This guy's a big, looks like a linebacker, body type wise, running out there with good speed. So the Rams. The guy that stirred the drink offensively was Stafford. The guy that stirred the drink defensively, obviously, was Aaron Donald. That guy, you talk about a disruptive force. I think Simmons with the Titans, it's Aaron Donald and Simmons are the two best in the NFL. And, boy, back-to-back weeks you get them. I think that, Henry's the guy offensively that stirs the drink, and Simmons is the guy defensively, and they're going to have to, control that son of a gun up front. He's a game wrecker as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I want everyone to watch the Believe in Bengal podcast. We recorded earlier today, and we had on, as we were previewing this game, we had on B-Hop, Brad Hopkins, 13-year offensive lineman for the Titans and Houston Oilers. You know him well. This guy's a bright analyst and a heck of a player. He said there are two guys Cincinnati Bengals offense need to be concerned. He talked about Simmons. There's no doubt. Got to block him. He can wreck your game. But Kevin Byard, the safety, talented safety, they just absolutely love him in Nashville. This guy's got a nose for the ball. He once led the league in interceptions. He can find the ball with the best of them. And when we talk about muddying things up in your protections and with their coverages, they can make things very difficult, and he's the guy, the culprit, that can pick your pocket if you're not careful. So their safety, Kevin Byard, is phenomenal. I really like him. And obviously Simmons on the inside, he can wreck shop. So those are the two guys on defense, man, we got to pay attention to.
There's no question. And, one thing that's interesting in this football game, the ball security aspect, the Bengals are one of 6 teams that haven't put the football on the ground after three games, and one of 3 teams, I should say, one of 6 teams that hasn't lost a fumble, one of 3 teams that hasn't put the ball on the ground. The Titans are also one of the 6 teams that haven't lost a fumble. They only put it on the ground once. So both of these football teams, ball security is a big, big deal to them. And in a game like this, a turnover, special teams dictating field position, one of these physical slobber knockers, those are extremely important, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. And Joe Burrow knows that. I think he's always played with that sense of, I'm going to eat it, take a sack. I'm going to dirt it. I don't worry about my completion percentage, but I'm going to protect the ball. I'm not giving it over to the other team. So he's been real good about that. Sometimes balls are going to get tipped at the line of scrimmage, get deflected a little bit. That's one thing. And if a guy can fight the receiver and end up wrestling one away, look, we can live with that. But at the end of the day, you just can't throw it to him clean. And you definitely, as a runner, can't put the ball on the ground. You got to secure it high and tight. And that's what we do, Dave. You got to run with it high and tight. You start getting it away from the body out through here, it's going to be certainly knocked out. And if we see you running like that on tape, now we come with a plan to get it out, right?
Right. I tell you, Solly, I thought that Joe Burrow's performance, his decision to play first and foremost, he didn't want his team to go 0-3. He said, that's the biggest reason I decided I wanted to go. Felt like I could handle it, and I didn't want us to start off 0-3. And in the first half, they threw the ball 31 times and ran it 7. I'm thinking, what? What do we do? I mean, this guy's like, he's medically vulnerable here. Let's protect this guy a little bit. And I think they're going to have to be able to run the ball a little bit. But this Titans defense with Vrabel, they're number 1 in the NFL. They're allowing less than 3 yards a rush. They're allowing 2.6 per rush. They're only allowing 69 yards on the ground per game. Man, this is going to be a tough team to try to get your running game going against. But you got to give Joe, take some of the burden off his shoulders, don't you?
Yeah, I do think a good mix. It's about just slowing down any pass rush, helping to set the edge. I thought they had a really good mix of run game in the Monday night game and how they moved Mixon around. I saw
Yep.
Mixon, who, oh, by the way, vastly improved as a pass blocker. I'm telling you, Dave, I saw him against the Rams. You're talking about total redemption. He's redeemed himself. This dude's stepping in front of some big guys now and holding up. And he's committed to it. That's what this game is all about. He's committed to be a better pass blocker for his quarterback, Joe Burrow. And I think everyone should really be aware of that. That's what Joe Mixon is sacrificing now, sacrificing the body. Much better runner. He's attacking the hole. He's got a better patience and a better feel for what's happening at the second level and allowing the blocks to set up. He's this year, man, he has been so good through the first three. He's probably been our most consistent player on offense through the first three games. And it's been phenomenal. There was one play where he came, and it was beautifully designed. He came over, bam, slammed the linebackers coming through, and then it's leaked out to the other side to make himself available for the dump down. Saved us a sack. Quarterback didn't get hit. Made a positive gain off of it. I thought by design, Zach Taylor did a wonderful thing. And then, hey, kudos to Joe Mixon for selling it, slamming into the block, staying alive and being able to work out of the trash, which you know is not easy, and still make himself available to the quarterback. A lot of good stuff happening here. And I'm telling you, man, we're this close. Still a little rust on Joe, but I saw it just coming off. The offensive line, they're starting to click. A lot of things are beginning to come together. And now, T, I just want to say, don't let the ball get into your chest, my man.
Yep.
He's such a great handball catcher, you know.
Yep.
And he's going to be okay. That guy's he's going to be fine for us. But you can see it all coming together for the guys on this offense.
Yeah, you hit a point there, T. You know, week 1, targeted 8 times, no catches. Week 2, rebounds, has a couple of touchdown catches. Week 3, you know, has some drops. He's on a roller coaster a little bit. If he had caught everything, I mean, you get Jamar and T off together, which they've done.
Yeah.
If you get those two guys going, oh man, it pivots.
Yeah.
You got something cooking, man. No question.
That's right.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle, Solly. What do you think, if you had to pick a key or two in Solomon Wilcots' mind, what are the biggest things to getting a victory on the road against the Titans?
First of all, offensively, just cut down on the penalties.
Yep.
You know this.
Yep.
Zach's been really good about his teams are always low in the penalty box. One of the best in the league when it comes to avoiding self-inflicting wounds, and it's been a lot of them, some false starts, and I think particularly on the road down in Nashville, it's going to have to be of vital importance not to pull the pin on their own hand grenade. So you have to eliminate what we call the unforced errors. You talked about the drop balls, the false starts, the illegal motions, just making sure the operation, right, of the offense is up and running at a lot smoother pace than what we've seen the first 3 weeks. I think that's vitally critical because this team's always been good in that area. And then lately, there's been some things kind of creeping up. So that's first and foremost. I think we still got to continue to feed Joe Mixon because I do believe when you have to crowd the box against the Cincinnati Bengals offense with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, I see we got a new tight end. This Hudson kid starting to make me smile.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got that on the perimeter, but people really do have to focus in. Like think of if their defense had to focus on our run game, like we have to focus on Derrick Henry. They don't have the receivers we do to really threaten you.
Right.
But we're gonna dice you. You've got to stack the box against Joe Mixon. So I do believe it starts there. And then after that, it's just, hey, man, we got to protect our quarterback. I think defense is going to be ready. To me, you keep Derrick Henry running toward the sideline. Don't let him come downhill. Force everything to the sideline. So you got to force everything inside out. Now, he's fast enough to hit the corner on you. So you got to be able to contain the ball. But he's a big guy. He's got vertical speed. He does not have excellent lateral speed, even though I've seen him jump cut on you. But he doesn't have that Barry Sanders boom boom quickness. He's over here next minute. He's that we call that one track runner. He gets on that track, man, start coming downhill. You can't let him come downhill because I've seen him crease people and just hightail it to the end zone. But if you keep that thing coming right toward that sideline, don't allow it to turn up. Defensively, that's how you have to play him. And if you can get him behind the chains and force Tannehill to have to be a passer, right? I like our advantages. I like our odds on that.
I agree wholeheartedly. I remember the last time the Bengals played against Henry, one of my keys was exactly what you're talking about. Make that dude go east and west, not north and south. North and south. There you go. Woo! East and west, you get a chance, man. You got a chance.
That's right. That's right. East and west is toward the sideline. Right? Exactly. He can run that way all he wants. Just keep going.
Yeah, north and south is goalpost to goalpost. East and west is sideline.
There you go.
You're exactly right. All right, so Solly, I want to thank you. Can't thank you enough. I always love talking football with you. And you mentioned your podcast. Why don't you let people know again what you're doing with the podcast, and of course with Sirius NFL Radio. You're a star in that regard as well. Tell everybody what you're doing, my man.
Yeah, well, you can catch us every morning, Monday through Friday, from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Sirius XM NFL Radio Channel 88, and
which
also go to
every morning, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and your lovely wife has told me the same thing. So
no question.
that touched my heart. She's great. Yeah, and then you can go to Believe.com, or you can catch us on Valley Sports Ohio. It's great that we're simulcast. You can catch the Believe in Bengals podcast. We're going to have Torrey Holt. He helps us revisit the game that was the Monday night tilt between the Rams and Bengals. I told him, you got the Super Bowl. They won Super Bowl 56. It was a rematch. I said, you took the Super Bowl, but we took the Monday night game. And then he showed me the championship banner hanging up in his office behind him. And I said, well, we got one of those coming. So we also look ahead to the Week 4 matchup with the Tennessee Titans. Brad Hopkins, former 13-year veteran in the NFL, he joins us on the show.
Great athlete, great athlete in that offensive line, no question about that. Solly, I can't thank you enough. I mean, if I feel like I need a football talk fix, you're my man. There's no question about it, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you too, Dave. Thanks for having me.
You got it, sir. Have a great day.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.